Hey guys, so I'm back again with another video. Just like I told you, every Wednesday expect another video from this channel, Empowered Beauty. I will talk about why I named this channel, what I did, and what I'm trying to do with it in another video, but I just want to get into the habit of putting videos up and talking about things that people ask me a lot. And just so you know, I am outside, obviously, so there's going to be a lot of activity going on around me. Birds, squirrels, you know, who knows what else is going to be featured in my video. But anyway, just bear with me. It's just a beautiful day, and oh God, it's just perfect lighting and just the perfect scene for me. So anyway, so today I'm going to be talking about something that a lot of people are also asking me, and that is why I moved to the Philippines, what my experience was like, and why I moved back to the US. I lived in the Philippines for a year, and then I recently got back maybe about 6 months ago. Some of you may not even have any idea that I moved to the Philippines in the first place, and some of you may have no idea that I even moved back to the States, to California, from the Philippines. Okay, so why did I go to the Philippines in the first place? I was fresh out of college, I think like 6 months or so, and things just weren't working out here the way that they needed to, I guess, for me to pursue my career the way that I wanted to. So I had nothing to lose, and my mom, for those of you who don't know, I am half Filipino, so a lot of my family do live out in the Philippines. And for those of you who also don't know, I am an entertainer or a performer. I love to sing, dance, act, and so yeah. My mom has a bunch of connections out in the Philippines, and of course, if you know, this industry is about who you know if you're trying to get to the top at a faster pace than if you didn't know anyone. So with all those connections, realized I have nothing to lose. This is what I want to do, so let's just go ahead and give it a shot. So before I go into my experience from pursuing my career, like from that perspective, I'm just going to talk about what life was like in the Philippines in general. The Philippines is a super fun place to be. Like, there's so much to do. It's a very laid back place, but the nightlife is amazing. And it's not nightlife like Las Vegas. It's not that. It's not extravagant in that way, but there's just a lot going on. There's bars, there's clubs. You know, Filipinos are very into music. They love to dance, they love to sing. So there's karaoke everywhere. There's live music everywhere, and everybody loves to drink out there. So it's just a great place to just bar hop, kick back with your friends, hang out. Just a super cool, chill vibe all around. And of course, as far as currency goes, most things are cheaper there unless they're imported. And of course, my vegan bougie ass, I had to spend a lot of money. So as a white American, my experience was was very interesting, I would say, because Filipinos, they're a culture that really, they love foreigners. They love all kinds of foreigners, but especially those of like white descent, that are white or white skin in general. And so when I got there, everyone immediately assumed that I was some kind of celebrity, or I was like a foreign model or something like that. And they were super excited when they heard that I could understand Tagalog and that I could speak it. And so that made the hype even more like, ah. So that was really fun for a while. I must admit that I had my days where it was just very overwhelming. Me being, I wouldn't describe myself as an introvert or an extrovert. I always refer to my star sign, Gemini, but I kind of go in between both, and I kind of adapt to the people around me. But for the most part, I am somebody who really just likes to keep to myself, especially when I'm out of my element. I do become very shy and closed off and standoffish and kind of guarded. But when I am in my comfort zone, I am the life of the party, and I love to talk, I love to laugh, and I can be super obnoxious. So it really depends on how I'm feeling. So what was the most challenging part about living in the Philippines? It was definitely the language barrier. I felt like I couldn't communicate effectively enough, and because of the difference in the culture, it was hard for me to get people to understand where I was coming from. Where being in America, you can just be upfront and honest and communicate without really offending anyone. And in the Philippines, like, when I would just communicate how I felt about something and it had nothing to do with how I felt about anyone, and I never ever meant and I never ever mean to offend anyone or hurt anyone's feelings, but just being as honest as I was, not necessarily opinionated, but just expressing my feelings, would come off a little intimidating to people, and people would take it the wrong way. They would take it pretty personally. So for example, if someone was being passive aggressive, that was something that I really had a hard time dealing with, because I don't deal with passive aggressiveness very well. Like, that's my pet peeve. I can't stand passive aggressive behavior. I really can't stand that. It just annoys me. It's just like, just be upfront and honest with me. Like, let's be adults. Let's talk this out. If you have a problem with me, or if there's something you don't like, just go ahead and say it, or just like leave, go away, because I just don't like having that kind of weird, negative, uncomfortable, insecure energy around me. And when I would try to address something or ask someone, it came off as a confrontation, and that was part of the culture shock for me living there. Even though I grew up in the culture, I'm still very westernized, so I'm very expressive when I communicate, and I'm very direct. And I'm a very, like, let's just get down to the point here. Like, what is the issue? How can we solve this? Can we get over this? What are we gonna do about this? So I was always expecting people to be just upfront and honest with me and just to communicate their feelings with me. And then when I would find out that they were talking about me behind my back, or just through other people, or I would just get a weird type of energy. Like, one day we're like super close, and then, you know, I have no idea what happens, and then the next day you're just distant, and then more and more distant. That just was very difficult for me, because I don't like having to try and figure people out. Like, that's why we have mouths, that's why we communicate, that's why we have words, that's what language is for, to be able to connect. And I just began to feel very disconnected to the people there. Is pursuing the music entertainment industry what they say it is? So there's a lot that's said about it, and there's definitely even more that's not said about it. I'm sure a lot of you know or are hearing now that a lot of actors and actresses and artists are coming out with the type of treatment that they received behind closed doors from the higher ups, if you will. Some people are strong enough and bold enough to come forth about it, and it's usually when they're at a place in their career where they can't necessarily be threatened anymore, and they're just well established and they can just kind of like make it on their own. And you see a lot of celebrities that just kind of disappear and then come back and whatnot. So there's a lot of sacrifices, don't get me wrong, in any career that people have to make, especially if you want to be very successful and you want to get to the top fairly quickly. The more sacrifices, the bigger sacrifices you're gonna have to make, and you go through the growing pains and just so many changes. And with the music industry, entertainment industry in particular, there are certain sacrifices that you may have to make, most likely have to make, especially as a woman. Being that, of course, the industry focuses on our look, our image, what we have to offer, you know, stimulating the public and the media, keeping people interested in us. Like, we are what we have to offer. So we are basically selling ourselves. So it's no wonder that within this industry you find a lot of dirty things. And some people, some people sleep their way to the top. Let's just be super open and honest. I'm gonna just put it out there. And you know what? Hey, more power to you. If that's how you roll, and you gotta put food on the table, you gotta make it work for your family, you gotta make it work for yourself, and get up to the top, and then you just don't have to do that anymore. Okay, but for some of us, for me, that's just not how I wanted to go about things. I realized that there was a much greater purpose that I wanted to, there's a much greater purpose that I have a calling for, and a vision and a mission that if I were to go that route to pursue my career and compromise my integrity and my morals and my beliefs and who I am as a person, who I want to be as a person, it would just completely contradict the whole reason for doing all of this. So I just had to take a different turn. I'm not walking away from the entertainment industry or the music industry. I'm just going about it differently and utilizing my strengths in ways that I don't have to compromise anything that would degrade me or make me less of who I am, or just different from who I really am. On top of that, being in another country, a completely different country, yes, I did have a lot of family out there, but because of the culture shock and the language barrier and whatnot, there were some people that were very dear to me, that were very close to me, that I considered very close to me, that ended up losing a lot of my trust. And to be pursuing this career with so many risks and so many sacrifices and so many challenges and struggles, especially with the walk of life that I've come from. Going into an industry like this, you really need to be sane. You really got to have a strong head on your shoulders, and no matter how strong you are, you need to have a support system. That is what's going to keep you strong. And to go into it not trusting anyone, I knew I would crumble. I knew I would crumble. I knew that I would break down. I knew that I couldn't do it alone, and I couldn't do it while feeling insecure, without having a solid foundation, an army to support me and to back me up if anything were to happen. And just a little minor reason why I decided to come back to the US was because my visa was gonna expire. I had a year to stay there until I would have to renew it like every 3 months, and you'd have to pay quite a fee to renew it. I could have left the country, just go have fun for a day somewhere in Singapore or Hong Kong or something like that and come back, but I felt like I had served my time there. Not saying that I wouldn't go back, because I would definitely go back, but my contract had ended. Things didn't happen according to plan, and there was a lot more to it that I just wasn't willing to do, that I wasn't willing to give, and that was that. I had to come back home. I had to come back to my home country where I could really be myself and express myself and love myself, because you can easily get lost. I mean, not even being in the industry, you can really get lost, and you can lose your mind, you can lose yourself, and I just wasn't willing to do that. So anyway, I hope that you guys found this very valuable. For those of you who are wanting to pursue the music industry and whatnot, it is extremely challenging, even if you're extremely talented, you can get there, you can go audition and go do these things to get that quick fame, but as far as like the long run and trying to get to the top, there is a very small group that runs that top, and to find loopholes would be extremely challenging. And like I said, it is a business of who you know. So I don't want to discourage anybody. That's just my personal experience. Do your research. Definitely do your research and go out there. Go out there, take the risk, give it a shot. if you want to do, you know, whatever is asked of you and you're willing to do that, then hey, so be it. Follow your dreams, do what you got to do, but remember exactly why you're doing it. Ask yourself, what are you willing to compromise? What are you willing to sacrifice? If it ever came down to it, would you compromise your integrity, who you are? Would you completely change yourself and your image and lose yourself in trying to chase the fame? So sit down with yourself, really do some soul searching about that, and then decide if you want to follow through with that. Or if you want to be like me and still stick with the passion but pursue it in a different way, then hey, you know, that's what I'm doing this for. So I hope you guys found this helpful, entertaining, informative, and then I'll be back with another video next week. So catch me every Wednesday. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you get notifications to let you know when my next video goes up. So thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys soon.